Hello and happy November. This is an astrological reading for the month of November. I will go over all of the aspects and transits for the month, and then at the end, I will go into each of the 12 signs and talk about the three primary areas that your life is going to experience most of what's happening in the month of November. But as usual, I'd like to start out by recapping a little bit about what happened in the month before. October was a transitionary month, primarily because the outer planets changed from moving retrograde almost all summer to moving direct. So we had Jupiter moving direct, we had Pluto moving direct, we had Saturn moving direct. All of this was happening during a Mercury retrograde, which now Mercury is direct also, and even today is out of its shadow. So we're finding ourselves in brand new building terrain as we enter November. October was very much a month of making sure that we were aligned and in harmony within our relationships. That's not just like interpersonal relationships, it's also how we relate to ourselves. So I feel a lot of internal dialogues that we have with ourselves, belief systems, I know that near the end of the month, I faced a few ways that I related to my role as a mother and woman. And so there were just a lot of opportunities for healing those relationship roles that we all experience being alive and interacting with other people. So Libra took care of most of that for us with the planets moving through Libra. As we start November, we still have a little bit of Libra energy in this first week of November, but pretty much everything moves into Scorpio by the second week and beyond. So I'm going to go through the dates of each week. I have each week broken down. I've got some energetic descriptors for each week too. So they're just sort of like themes for how I feel the overall week will shape up. I'm going to do that first, actually, to give you an overview, then I'll go into each of the dates. So from the 1st to the 7th, I'm seeing that this week we're seeing all the possibilities. This week's giving us our new moon in Scorpio. We're finishing up a few planets in Libra. I just feel like this week we're looking at all of our options. We're seeing that we have a lot more power than we gave ourselves credit for in the past. And so as we embrace that power, how are we going to use it? What kind of choices will we make? So on the 1st and 2nd, we've got Mercury squaring Pluto. Mercury's still in Libra at this point, and the square to Pluto is part of that power that I was talking about, is this power of knowing that through our words, through our beliefs, and through our communication, we have the power to make dramatic changes in our lives. We can end things. We can disengage from things. We may be receiving a lot of information at the beginning of this week that helps us to make decisions about which direction we want to move, who we want to affiliate with, just direction on whether or not we're going to continue relating with people the way that we had in the past. And so I see that the first couple of days of November give us an opportunity to, at least in our minds, decide what is going to end. Decide what behaviors with self or what behaviors with the world are going to end. Around the 3rd, the moon in Libra will cross over Mars and Mercury. And as the moon crosses, I see the moon as our somatic, felt bodily experience. And that's why it's really important to pay attention to where the moon is each day, because we can actually tune into the sensation of each of the temples of the zodiac through the moon. So when the moon crosses Mars and Mercury, this is like us becoming conscious of the behaviors and communication that we need to have that will align us with what we want to create in the future. And so that preparation that we have those first couple of days of November are giving us a foundation for the new moon in Scorpio on the 4th. So on the 4th, This new moon in Scorpio just happens to be exactly at the 12th degree. The new moon is with the sun at 12 degrees Scorpio, and this is right across from Uranus. So that Uranus has been moving slowly through Taurus for a couple of years now, will continue for a few more. While Uranus is moving in Taurus, it is asking us to radically reevaluate how we meet our needs in a sustainable way. And now that we have a couple of, we have the sun and the moon opposite that, it's like we have a chance to know it consciously and to feel it in our bodies. And what this is giving us is an opportunity to create even more conscious boundaries. Scorpio energy is emotional, and it's emotional so that we get the energy necessary to honor our boundaries, to honor our I use this a lot, but honor the hell yes or the hell no. If there is something happening in our lives that we've been having a hard time verbalizing our yeses and nos about, this new moon in Scorpio is giving us the emotional impetus, the emotional energy to really, really draw those lines and to plant a new seed of moving forward into the world with very clear emotional boundaries. And we're having those boundaries so that we take our needs in Taurus. So we take that revolutionary look at valuing what we need and valuing what our human body, it's like physical, tangible things our human body needs in order to be sustainable in our lives. So we're drawing lines around giving our energy away when we actually would really prefer to do something else. We're drawing lines around like going along with the status quo in our relationships, or going along with the status quo where we can tell that it's not sustainable for our energy. So as this new moon is opposing Uranus, we'll really be feeling where we need to draw those lines, and we'll consciously understand at the same time, and we'll be planting a seed for our future to maintain those lines. On the 5th, Venus will move into Capricorn. Venus has been leading the way for the last few months through the sign. So Venus is the very first planet to get to Capricorn out of all the planets. Venus is our ability to intuit and receive through our environment. And so Venus has just finished her journey through through Sagittarius. And now with her in Capricorn, she's kind of moving over the grounds that she's going to be retrograding over. So Venus is going to be doing a major retrograde starting in December. So this period of time before that retrograde, Venus is definitely like checking out the territory that she's going to need to adjust and reevaluate when it comes to her tangible manifestations. And the tangible manifestations of Venus are pretty much a byproduct of whatever she's open to. So I know that sounds a little like ephemeral, but Venus allows us to open up to other possibilities. And as she opens up through Capricorn, she's looking around at her tangible reality, the things that she's built, the thing that she can, that our lives have built to measure. And she's taking stock of what could possibly change to create a more harmonious and congruent reality for us. So at the same time that Venus moves into Capricorn, Mercury moves into Scorpio. So it's like she moves out and Mercury moves in. And as Mercury moves in, it's like reading all of her notes. Mercury is just receiving it emotionally. Mercury and Venus, I think that they're like a good pair, because Venus is what we are open and receptive to. Then Mercury is the meanings that we make from the transmissions that Venus gives us. So it's like now we can really translate with our minds what we've been intuiting and feeling during this last month or so. So that's that first week of November. The second week of November, I feel this week we are emotionally preparing to move on from something. It's like an 8 of Cups energy. I feel like we've come to terms intellectually, we've come to terms emotionally, we're conscious and cognizant of what needs to happen. And now this is the week where we make those preparations and begin to take action, supporting the boundaries that we've just created. So on the 10th, Mercury will conjunct Mars. The thinking mind will conjunct our behaviors and the way that we act in the world. They're both in Scorpio. So this is from a space of having an emotional boundary, of understanding that even boundaries have been crossed. So when Mercury and Mars get together there, it's really quick-witted, but quick-witted because we are protecting something. We're protecting a space that perhaps we are willing to stand up for now. And this is square, it's in a square to Saturn and the moon. So Saturn has been moving through Aquarius this whole year. And what Saturn really wants, Aquarius is a very, I want to say intellectual, but it's beyond intellect. It's in a place where we are able to see the bigger picture of what our role in the greater organization of life is and how we fit into that greater plan by being fully on purpose and being fully ourselves. So Saturn has this really kind of strict and rigid way of being right now that is trying to keep us on task. It's trying to keep us aligned with our vision. It's trying to continuously remind us, well, what's the bigger picture? What are you really trying to achieve? Is what happening right now, are you willing to experience more of that in the future vision that you're building? Because I'm looking at the blueprints for this entire reality that you'd like to experience. And if your actions and your boundaries are not aligned with that, you need to make changes. And so don't put up with anything now that you won't be willing to put up with later on when all the concrete is set and we're building the reality. We're putting the lumber up, or the walls and things. I'm not a builder, but you kind of get you get it right. So the 10th is going to be a big day, and I see this is the beginning of that emotionally preparing to move on and up, or whatever. So on the 12th, the sun will trine Neptune. The sun is in Scorpio, Neptune's in Pisces. These are both water signs. These are both spiritual, emotional. They're both intuitive. When the sun trines Neptune, I see this as like, okay, first of all, it's coming right after Mercury conjuncts Mars, right? So we get this like bold, like emotional feeling like, okay, I got to do this. I'm going to do this. I know that I have to do this. And I know that if I do it, it's going to align me with the bigger picture vision. And then with Sun trine Neptune, it's like we get this beautiful, harmonious reminder of the vision that we are a part of. That Neptune does show us the boundaries beyond. It shows us beyond the boundaries even. Neptune is a higher octave of Venus. It kind of shows us the ideals, the divine love. It reacquaints us with how we're interacting on a soul level with all of this. And so I see on the 12th, there being some sort of beautiful soul confirmation of the decisions that we're making and brewing. So make time to receive information during that time. And then on the 13th, Mercury will oppose Uranus. Now, that new moon on the 4th was opposite Uranus. So now we have Mercury opposite Uranus. The seed that you planted on that new moon for your boundaries, for that that thing you're claiming for yourself, that seed now will get some energy from Mercury. It'll give you the clarity about how all of the actions you've been taking are aligning you to get your tangible needs met in a revolutionary way. So I see the 13th being more confirmation, and there could be something at odds, like it's a first kind of test to make sure that you're transmitting the frequency that you agreed to with yourself. The next week is the 11th or November 15th to the 21st. This week, it's kind of depending on how the first 2 weeks went, there's a dual energy of this week. On one side of the equation, you've got sort of this fulfilling, like you could feel very emotionally fulfilled. It could feel like, wow, I'm so filled up by my decisions. I feel so aligned. I feel so like I've really got my back. I can really trust myself. I'm really trusting in my intimacy with the people I've chosen to be intimate with and to communicate that intimacy with. It could, just feel like a very, very fulfilling week. Or you could feel like in some ways you've got to defend your decisions. There could be some sort of like, I've got to like hold my passion strong, and I've got to stand my ground, and I've got to really defend what I've chosen for myself. And it could even be a combination of both of these energies. So on the 15th, the sun will square Jupiter. I see that as like a way, like we're showing up and we are holding our ground with the energy of like, yes, you've got to grow. If you want to see these boundaries you've created, if you want to see the fruition of everything that you're seeing for the world, you've got to grow. And so our consciousness, I believe, will grow in a beautiful way that day. We could speak with a mentor. We could receive some sort of teaching. There just could be some ability to like really step up and grow on the 15th. On the 17th, Mars will oppose Uranus. So this is the third pass, right? We had the new moon in Scorpio opposite Uranus. Then we had Mercury opposite Uranus on the 13th. Now we've got Mars opposite Uranus. Mars opposite Uranus is saying, all right, now I have to take massive action. Like I am absolutely motivated. There could be motivation. Mars could feel very passionate, it's not fiery passion. It's like deep, vulnerable, like intimate passion. It's the kind of passion where with Mars, it's like, I know this could be hard, and I know I'm going to create a lot of transformation with what I'm about to do, but I have to. I must do this. And so I feel Mars being very strong in that opposition, because Mars is seeing the greater level of security that can be created through the actions taken at this time. And then on the 19th, we have the full moon eclipse in Taurus. Now, this full moon is very close to the nodes of the moon. The nodes are moving from Gemini. The North Node will be moving from Gemini to Taurus in just a couple of months. Most of 2022, from the beginning of 2022 onward for another 18 months, we'll have the North Node in Taurus. And the North Node is, from my perspective, the North Node is the place where the current collective is like riding a bicycle uphill. It's hard work, and it takes a lot of stamina and perseverance and practice, and it's effortful. But if we build that muscle in that temple, we will feel very congruent with our lives. We will feel very grounded. We will feel very supported. We will feel like we've done the spiritual exercise to be fully present with our lives. And so for the last 18 months or so, the North Node has been Gemini, and Gemini has asked us to reevaluate our relationship with our story, to really take a look at anything that we've put on a pedestal, or any kind of authority we put on a pedestal that we didn't actually experience firsthand, to reevaluate that and to kind of dethrone any of those authorities and to have a felt experience of, well, what's true based on my real experiences. And my real experiences are actually kind of subjective. My real experiences are subject to what I believe about the world. And so Gemini is a little tricky because everyone believes their beliefs, and their beliefs inform their stories, and everyone's got a story that they believe is true. But we were kind of supposed to orient to our personal stories during this time and to give the authority back to our lived experience. And we're supposed to do that so that we could actually enter this time of Taurus and actually see, well, how do my beliefs support me and nourish my needs on a fundamental foundational level? Like, is it backed up? So I actually see this full moon eclipse in Taurus as being the first, the first big visual, is the first big proof, the first big aha moment as to whether or not the stories that we've been living our life by and the ways that we've been meeting our needs, we're going to see whether or not that stacks up, whether or not we were right, whether or not we have more growing to do. And luckily we have another month or so of the North Node in Gemini. So if we need to change our story, we're going to know by that full moon in Taurus whether or not we got to do some last minute story hacking, last minute belief hacking. So this again is like, you're either going to feel very fulfilled, or you may feel kind of defensive. And if you feel defensive, why? If the other thing is, everyone else is going to be in the same position. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be defending their beliefs and defending their stories and defending why their needs are important. And so hopefully you've cultivated a life where there's a lot of acceptance within the relationships that you take part in, so that everyone can fully and freely and sovereignly choose the stories and lives and ways of getting needs met that serve them the best. Then the 20th, Mercury will square Jupiter. So first the Sun squared Jupiter on the 15th, now on the 20th, Mercury squares. This Mercury is like receiving and transmitting. It is mentally understanding. So we get this eclipse, and then immediately we've got more information about, okay, well, now how are you going to transmit based on the growth that you need to be doing in order to accomplish the vision that you see for the world. Then on the 21st, the sun moves into Sagittarius. So it's like, all right, all of the boundaries have been set, all of the lines have been drawn, all of the growth regarding understanding that interpersonal intimacy, all of that's complete now. Let's take that treasure that we discovered during this time, let's take that treasure into the world and share that treasure with others. So when the sun moves into Sagittarius, also Mercury is moving into Sagittarius, they kind of go at the same time. And then we've got a few aspects in that last week of the month between November 22nd and 30th. And I see the energy of that final week is finally completing a very long cycle. By the end of November, we could feel like, wow, this has been an intense period of time. I have learned so much. Like, I perceive that we're going to really be feeling the nodes nearly changing. We're going to be really feeling like, look how far I've come. Look at where we are. Look at where we started. I've got songs in my head now, but this is going to be the moment where we just take an inventory and we see that a long cycle is finally completing. And even though it's not complete, it will feel like it's completing finally, or we're at least at the tail end. We're very, very close to the end now. And we are actually. So on the 24th, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. This is like, okay, Sun and Mercury, my awareness and my transmission, they're one and the same at this point. On the 28th, Mercury and the sun will be together in the sky in Sagittarius, very near the south node. So I talked a little bit about where the north node evolves us. Now let me talk about what's happening in the south node. Over the last 18 months or so, we've been kicking the pedestal out from, I've called them sacred cows. We've been kicking the pedestal out. Like I used to give so much authority to these teachers. I used to give so much authority to this regimen, like I used to give so much authority to these social rules or to whatever you gave your authority to. Things that, like, have you ever noticed that sometimes we accept foundational beliefs or we accept for certain laws or rules that we've never actually experienced as real? Like have I ever had that experience before? Am I just accepting that because someone told me it when I was little? Am I just accepting that because the status quo accepts that? So all of that has been in question over the last 18 months. And in this final week, we are kicking out the last legs of the table. Whatever belief stacks we had that just are not aligned with our actual experienced reality, those are getting kicked out of authority. And this last week it's like putting down that burden and just owning your own life and living your life as your own guiding principle. Like you've created new guiding principles based on your own personal experiences at this point. So that day on the 28th, there will be some awareness of that, some reflection of that. Scorpio, Mars is still in Scorpio. It's trine Neptune. There's a possibility that we'll align our behaviors with a spiritual understanding of what all of this has meant for us. The moon will be in Virgo at this time and it's opposite Neptune. So I even feel like our physical body and our day-to-day life is going to be impacted by this awareness. And then on the 30th, the sun and Mercury will be still together and it will trine Chiron. Chiron is in Aries still. And I see this as like the initiation or I'm seeing like, it's kind of like a graduation, like we're receiving the ribbons around our necks. Like, okay, you've now been initiated, you've now graduated, you now have healed this part of you that was afraid to fully trust yourself and trust your own discernment on this issue. And now you've gained it for yourself. You've healed that part of you. Congratulations. This is going to be very important as we wrap up the year. December is going to be pretty amazing. And I'm already working on the 2022 year ahead. In fact, before I go into the month by month, I just wanted to show you something pretty cool that I've been working on. Most of my clients know I create these PDFs for the year ahead. And last year, they're PDFs that show the date, the transit, and then I channel specific information about each one of these transits and aspects. And then this year, I've also included questions that you can do further investigation and journaling about. So this is a pretty lengthy document. It's going to be over 20 pages, and it's covering all the major aspects for the year with general channeled information for each one. So I highly recommend that you get a copy of one of these. I'm going to leave some links in the description box below. I'm also doing pre-orders for my 2022 year ahead readings, and they'll be discounted until December. So if you think that you'd like to get one of these readings, I highly recommend you sign up for it in November, because in December it's going up. And then it'll probably go up after the 1st as well, because there's a lot of demand for these, and I'm trying to get people to sign up for them early so I can get a head start on recording these for everybody. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. And now I'm going to go into, for each of the 12 signs, how to use the energy of November to your greatest capacity. Just kind of what areas of your life to be aware of. So I think I'm going to timestamp these so that you can just skip to your sign. But generally, I suggest that you listen for your sun sign to understand how your tribe is handling this on like a soul level. But then also, if you know what sign you have primarily in your first house, so this could be a rising sign, but if you say have like the last degrees of a sign on your ascendant and most of another sign in your first house, I would go for the one that you have most of that in your first house. For instance, if you have like mostly Capricorn in your first house, but there's a little bit of Sag on your ascendant, I would just listen for Capricorn. Got it? Okay. So for each of the 12 signs, I'm going to go through 3 areas. The first area is where you are feeling your emotional boundaries, where you're preparing yourself emotionally and like drawing lines in your life. And also I'm going to go into what's the area of your life that you need to do a radical reevaluation of how you meet your needs in. And then finally, where are you completing a cycle? What part of your life are you going to feel a major completion energy by the end of this month in? All right. So Aries, Aries, you are emotionally preparing and drawing boundaries in your intimate relationships. You're learning where the line between dependence and independence, who you can trust fully, how you trust. You could be beginning and ending relationships. Definitely drawing some lines in your relationships. This doesn't mean that you're necessarily ending relationships, but you could be ending major relationship patterns in your most intimate relationships. So be prepared for some pretty good conversations and awarenesses when it comes to your intimate relationships. And what will happen is you're going to be radically valuing your own tangible needs. There are probably some things you've kind of like overlooked for some time because you're trying to keep harmony or something like that. But the truth is you must draw lines that will protect your own personal tangible needs and resources. You need to value yourself. And this is under a very radical shift and change during this time. So it's powerful for you. I see this as being financial as well as just overall everything that your body needs. And then you're going to see a completion of a cycle in your 9th house. Your 9th house is all about how your guiding principles. You've probably gone through a major reevaluation of what kinds of things you trust and let guide you in this lifetime. I would say that lots and lots of shift around how your mind operates and what you allow to be your guiding principle, your guiding values has probably changed a lot. And you'll definitely feel like you've turned a corner by the end of the month. So Taurus, you are, if you have Taurus in your first house, you are emotionally preparing to change the way that you relate to other people. You've been working on this for a while, and the difference is you were working on this mostly how you relate to others based on how you relate to yourself. So while everything was in Libra, you were definitely like, I need to work on my relationship with myself and how I handle my day-to-day life and, how I show up for myself. Now you're taking all of that into your relationships with other people, and it's going to be tested. You're going to have to draw lines for yourself. You're going to have good boundaries in your relationships when meeting people and deciding who you give your energy and time to. What this will do is it's going to revolutionize who you are as a character. You're like, who are you? The way that you show up in your relationships now is going to definitely impact the way you see your character. And that is under dramatic reevaluation and revolutionary change right now. So your Taurus, I bet you're going through a major like milestone initiation regarding it's like a coming of age or a total like character development moment. And the thing that you're going to feel is a completion of a cycle is kind of the way that you've shown up intimately with others. There's going to be this like graduation or this completion of like, wow, now I understand where to draw the lines, how to be dependent or independent, how to like meld myself with another person in intimacy. You're closing a huge chapter on how you used to do that, and you're adopting a new one based on your lived experiences. So that's great. Okay, Gemini. Gemini, you are emotionally preparing yourself in your 6th house of your day-to-day life, your daily habits, standing on your own 2 feet, independence, just getting yourself free, getting yourself sovereign, completing yourself. Like I see this as a time where you've really got to stand up for yourself and be an advocate for creating a temple space for you. This is going to dramatically shift how much faith you have in your life. I see that when you have your own back and you really honor yourself and your own temple, you're going to see that you can trust the universe, you can trust life, you can, it's going to affect your end game, your ripple effect, and the tangible results of having your needs met is like an effect of everything that you do in this space for yourself. So you'll see a reflection of, yeah, how can I expect others to meet my needs? How can I expect my life to meet my needs if I don't hold myself as a valuable person to begin with? So I see, Gemini, that you are definitely seeing a radical reevaluation of your faith in life, and you're completing a cycle in how you related to people. You probably have a huge shift and changeover when it comes to your friendships and your way of relating in general. Like when you put yourself first, that's absolutely going to change the way you're in relationship with other people. You probably won't be letting other people have authority over your life anymore, or giving their opinions authority or anything like that. So I see a lot of like an ending of an era when it comes to how you've related to your friends in the past, or who you've associated with as your friends. So the next is Cancer. Cancer, you're emotionally preparing and drawing lines around your 5th house, your pleasure, your joy, your creativity, the things that make you feel alive, the things that connect you with your authenticity. You've got to draw some lines and boundaries around behaviors that took you out of your authenticity, places and like areas of life where you have not been able to just shine the way that you are. You have not felt free to just be yourself. And so I see you definitely drawing some major lines, and the needs and boundaries, you're going to need to evaluate your boundaries when it comes to who you affiliate with. So if you're not able to express yourself freely, if you're not able to just fully have joy in being yourself, the place that you really, really need to revolutionize and radically resolve is going to have to do with who you associate with, how you impact people. So you're going to need to look at the effects. So basically what I'm seeing is, how have you been showing up? And if you haven't been showing up as yourself, how has that impacted other people and you getting your needs met? And when you began drawing lines around showing up as yourself and being creative and having fun and being alive, how is that going to impact the people that you affiliate with? Are you like that's going to be the new thing. And you get your needs met through impacting other people by being you. So you may have felt like you haven't had your needs met fully because you haven't been fully showing up as yourself. And so this is what's changing for you this month, Cancer. And you're completing a cycle. You're going to feel like it's an end of an era when it comes to you completing your temple space, your day-to-day. What do you need on a day-to-day basis to make sure that you feel resourced, complete, and whole? It's like you probably have felt like this has been a struggle, and you've given authority to external individuals about what that's supposed to look like, but you're reclaiming that completely, and you're ending an era of giving authority to other people as to what you feel you need to complete your temple. So really huge growth this month, Cancer. The next one is Leo. Leo, you are emotionally preparing yourself and drawing boundaries in your fourth house of home. I see you probably are going to, you could find that your home life is making you feel a little exhausted, that it's stretching your back, it's just stretching you to the end. You're going to feel it intensely, and you're going to need to draw some lines and have some boundaries and stake some claims for yourself in your home to make sure that you're fully resourced and that this home feels like a sanctuary for you. And that's going to affect the legacy that you leave. It's going to affect what you put out into the world. When you make space for yourself to fully resource yourself at home and to come from a full place, what you put out into the world is going to dramatically change. It's going to fulfill you in such a bigger way. So I see Uranus in your 10th house being a place you're highly reevaluating what it is you put out into the world, and the type of legacy that you'd like to leave on this planet. And I see that there's some sort of completion of a cycle when it comes to how you've enjoyed your life and what you've taken part in that's given you pleasure and joy and excitement. It's like an end of an era when it comes to some sort of authority on what is supposed to be fun for you. I don't know if it's like you're taking back your authority, or you've changed, or you're no longer giving power to certain ways that you have thought, certain things you thought were pleasurable for you in the past. You just could have a total value shift on what you prioritize as far as what feels fulfilling to you. You could begin feeling like it's more fulfilling to create things than consume things or something like that. So I see this as a shift in probably the way you spend your time at home is going to impact the way you experience your creative process and fun. And you're going to release some authority that has stopped you from enjoying that space of your life. Virgo, you are emotionally preparing yourself. You're emotionally changing your mind about something. Like there's probably some thought form that was causing you a lot of angst, and you're drawing boundaries and lines in your mind. This is very internal for you, Virgo. You're having to have boundaries with your own thoughts. You're saying enough of this thought, enough of this way of thinking, of relating to myself with my thoughts or my self-talk or whatever. So you're having to like really draw some strong boundaries around what you believe about yourself and about the world. And this is going to dramatically impact your guiding principles. So I would say that your guiding principles are going through like a major realignment, and your guiding principles are like it's like you're putting stock into the things that feel real and fulfilling, that really like have tangible evidence and proof that they should be followed. So Virgo, I see you being very like, if I don't experience it, I don't really think it's real. If I'm not like, it's almost like your faith in what you've practiced that feels fulfilling is what you're going to, is it going to be your guiding principle from this point forward, instead of any other like belief forms around your like work ethic, or belief forms around like value judgments on yourself or anything like that. So I see you really shifting and growing your mindset this month. And the thing that is going to feel like a completion, you're going to be completing a cycle when it comes to how you resource yourself in your home. So the way that your home feels to you, the way you take care of your vulnerability, the way that you nourish yourself when you need to resource, all of that, you're coming to a completion of that cycle. It's like you finally have overcome some sort of major, I want to say obstacle, or it was like I would say that you had a belief that was blocking you from feeling fully at ease and at home. And because you've shifted your mind, all of a sudden you're seeing your home situation very, very differently. And so you're able to reinvent what home could feel like for you moving forward. So the next is Libra. Libra, the place that you're emotionally preparing is in your second house of valuing yourself and getting your needs met. So you're definitely going to be feeling, this is sort of like the Aries, so you might want to listen to Aries. You're definitely going to be feeling that your needs and priorities, you need to be drawing some major lines for yourself. Like this is sort of internal, like stop it. Like, what if your wants are your needs? Like, what if because you want it, you actually do need it? And what if that is a line that you're drawing for yourself, or vice versa? Like, what if there are certain things that you think you need and you're realizing like, I need to draw some lines around this. This is hurting me. This is making me feel less valuable in my life because I've been prioritizing this and it's not actually what I need. So you're going to be feeling the emotional side effects of you getting your needs met and really evaluating what those needs are. And the thing that's going to be impacted dramatically is the way you show up intimately in relationships. So the byproduct of you prioritizing your needs is that you're able to actually more sustainably drop into intimacy with others and dependence and independence when it comes to your intimate relationships. So yeah, I see like maybe deeper communication about what your needs are, and even like a relaxation, or, you know, it's Uranus. So it could be like not relaxing at all. It could feel like very strong, dramatic, abrupt, revolutionary reevaluation of the way you show up intimately with others. So you could be experiencing some major shifts. And like I said, this may not necessarily be the ending of relationships, though it could be, but it could be the end of deep relationship patterns or dynamics that have not served you and you will not be utilizing or leaning into anymore. And then the completion of a cycle, there will be some strong belief forms, like you have been changing your beliefs about yourself and your life and everything for the last 18 months. So you're going to be feeling a huge like ending of a cycle when it came to how you've perceived and thought about the world and how those perceptions have shaped your reality. So big shift in your guiding principles when it comes to how you think. So fantastic. Scorpio, if you have Scorpio primarily in your first house, you are going to absolutely be feeling you are going through a major character change. This month, you're definitely feeling like, this is not who I am. I am this. I see myself as this, and I've got to draw some lines. I have to have some boundaries because I am not being and acting in accordance with who I really am. So I see Scorpio rising people or Scorpio first house people making like really coming into congruence with who they are and making those emotional behavioral decisions and mentally understanding who you are even means. And this is going to dramatically impact the way you relate to other people. So similarly to what I've shared with the Libra and Aries people, the way you relate to everyone in your world will change dramatically it'll be revolutionary change when you fully act in congruence with who you are. You'll see your relationships change. And this doesn't necessarily mean that relationships will end, but relationship dynamics will never be the same again because you're striving for something in relationship that's far more sustainable for meeting your needs. And you're experiencing a completion of a cycle in your second house of how you value yourself and how you value your truth. So Scorpio, you have a truth that when you don't act in congruence with who you are, you haven't valued your truth. You've sort of and you're seeing an end to that. This is the end of that cycle. You are no longer valuing some sacred cow truth like that someone else gave you a long time ago or that you had adopted from society. So when this is the end of an era, which is making space for you to live more fully by your own truths and value your own truths. So congratulations, Scorpio. It's a big growth month. Okay, Sagittarius. If you have Sagittarius primarily in your first house, that means all the Scorpio energy is happening in your 12th house. This is a big deal. You're basically this month is the ripple effect of how you've lived your life for the past 18 months or a year or so. So you could feel, Sagittarius, that a lot of things are a little out of your control this month because it's all a product of everything you've done up to this point. And so you are going to have to draw some lines with what you have faith in. I see this as an opportunity for you to deeply, deeply, deeply drop into having faith in your life and having faith in the fact that you're a creator, that the decisions you make and the beliefs you have and the way you interact with others and the way you stand behind what you are and who you believe you are and what are your sacred truths, that is all manifested, whatever you're experiencing in this time. So this is a time for you to definitely reevaluate what you put your faith into. And what you put your faith into is going to dramatically revolutionize the sixth house of your personal temple space. So you're going to see that when you put yourself first, when you put your temple, like you recognize that as within, so without. This is going to be a big month for that. So whatever you do on the inside of you, in your day-to-day life, that's going to impact the ripple effect of what you're experiencing this month. So you're going to definitely double down on the way you run your day-to-day life. And that includes your drinking enough water and getting your laundry done and paying your bills. It's the mundane stuff. For you, this is very much the small stuff equals the big stuff. And so however you experience the ripple effect of that is going to dramatically impact the way you revolutionize your day-to-day. And you're going to need to have some faith in your ability to do that. And the completion of a cycle, you're completing a cycle of an old character. So there was an old character of you that maybe didn't have faith in yourself, maybe didn't didn't believe that day-to-day things made a strong impact. And that's the end of the era, that blah, blah, blah. There's an end to that era. You are now completely cleaning the slate so that you can create a whole new character for yourself, one that has faith in your own, and has got your back, has faith in your day-to-day care of yourself, and honors your sovereignty. Now, Capricorn, you are emotionally preparing yourself and drawing some boundaries when it comes to the way you interact with the outside world, with all of the people out there that need you. So I see this is 11th house stuff. So I see you drawing boundaries and lines around the things that you produce and put out into the world, how those are valued. Like, it's like, you know, valuing yourself and holding the line and holding the boundary around how much you give yourself away to the external world and what they're kind of reciprocating back to you. For Capricorns, you have an intimacy with the people you impact. You're very much you're very much in a strong relationship with the way your legacy impacts the external world. And you're going to this month really feel emotionally what type of actions you need to take to increase that impact, or to value your impact even greater. And to and what this is going to do is it's going to dramatically revolutionize what it is you create. And what you're creating has to do with what gives you the greatest amount of joy. And what gives you the greatest amount of joy, and when you create that thing, that is what actually helps to fulfill your needs. So really, really deeply honoring the pleasure process of creating from your unique voice. That is what is going to be, revolutionized. It's your needs around your creativity. And the completion of a cycle, you're completing a cycle in your 12th house of, this is the house where you have faith in yourself. You have faith in your life. You have faith in the ripple effects. You have faith that everything that you do from your character is going to impact your life and your relationships and what you put out in the world, and it'll eventually come back. So there's something it's like an end of an era of what you used to put faith into, and the beginning and clearing of a slate of what you can now put your faith into. And so I see that this is an opportunity to really double down on, I guess, having faith and trust that your life will continuously guide you through the pleasure that you experience through creating, and you create in order to serve, to impact. So I just see this as like really seeing how it's all interconnected, and that valuing your own joy and pleasure absolutely creates the impact and ripple effect that you need. So this is a huge paradigm shift for you, and it's moving what you have faith in. Aquarius, the place that you're emotionally preparing is your 10th house. So you're definitely reevaluating and holding space for like, no, this is what I want to be known for. This is the legacy that I want to leave, and the mark I want to leave on the planet. Like, I don't want to be remembered as the person who does these things. I want to be remembered as the person who does this. And this is what's really near and dear to me because of the origin story of my life. And the origin story of your life is what is changing in a revolutionary way. So it's like somehow something that's happening for you at home it's like these are related. So some revolutionary thing that's happening for you at home is definitely changing the way that you want to be remembered. And so you could be like thinking of writing a book about your life. You could be thinking about something that happened to you when you were younger that you really want to help people in the world now so that they don't have to struggle the way that you did. There's something like very passionate for you that you want to step into greater fulfillment around. And it comes from you really reevaluating and revolutionizing the way you tell your story. And I tell your story from like your origin story is what I mean. So you're shifting things. And also you may need to actually change, you may need to literally change your house. You may need to move in order to take a new job, for instance. That's like one way you could look at this, but you may need to restructure the way that you are at home. Like maybe the way that you create work hours for yourself if you work at home or something like that, so that you can serve in a greater capacity. And what's coming to an end of a cycle is the way you used to impact people. So I see you, Aquarius, maybe really shifting careers in a very big way, like totally shifting the direction of how you serve in the world. So it's like you're clearing the slate around some way you used to impact people to make way for a new way that's even more fulfilling for you. And you've got to create boundaries around it. Like you've really got to own it. I see. And now Pisces, the place you're emotionally preparing is your 9th house of what you're going to guide your life by from this point forward. So I see you drawing some serious lines around what you are going to guide yourself by. You're like holding boundaries. You're not going to let other people speak over your life. You're not going to give authority away to others. You're definitely like, no, this is who I am, and this is what I believe in. This is why I believe in what I believe in. And this is the treasure that I've received from my life experiences. And no one can speak over that for me. So I feel it's a very strong, like, claiming of your beliefs this month. And what's changing is that's not how you've maybe operated in your mind in the past. You could have very much gone with the flow in the past, but because of this real strong emotional energy that you have with Scorpio in your 9th house right now, you're like totally seeing how it's changing the way you think. And you're like, wow, wow, I'm growing so much in my thoughts right now. Like I've never even thought that about myself, but now I totally like see myself as this. And so you're just having like a fundamental mind shift. You're changing your mind in a deep way. And this has been going on for a while, but you're definitely going to see it more rapidly and more reflection of that this month. And you're completing a cycle. You're definitely completing a cycle when it comes to the legacy that you leave. So it makes sense if you completely change your guiding principle and you claim your treasure in the world. That's going to lead you to more deeply impact with your legacy, to like want to bring your legacy to the table. So it's like something you believe in deeply. You're finally ready to like make your mark on the world with that. And you probably will need to clear something out that you used to do that made your mark, but now you care even more deeply about this. So clearing the space, you could maybe like be quitting a job or ending some sort of position that you had in the workplace, or just even the way that you used to like treat your children could change. Like you could have whole new rules around your role as a parent, because that will leave a legacy as well, right? So Pisces, that's all for you, and that's all for the 12 signs. I do have a couple of announcements. I am just completing my Study Yourself, Learn Astrology course. It's a 3-month course with daily astrological prompts. So every single day, there's an astrological prompt that draws your attention to where the moon is and the current transits and asks questions for deeper self-study. And so we accumulate 3 months of this self-study through 3 moon cycles. And through that, we're able to look at our patterns and understand our natal chart and how we move through these energies. And this sets us up with a template or blueprint that will help us navigate any time moving forward. So my students have lots of data points now for how they move through each of these energies. Anytime the moon's in any temple, they've had an experience and a journaling prompt to help them understand themselves even more fully. So that's, in my opinion, the best way to learn astrology is to learn how we personally and somatically experience the astrology, and then allow the extra layers of information to inform more of that decision based on a personal experience of that. And I deliberately chose to do that while the North Node was in Gemini, because I knew that we would all be very empowered by our own felt experiences. Moving forward into 2022, I'm offering the next round of that class. I believe it'll start on January 8th. I've got pre-enrollment already starting. So if this sounds like something you would enjoy, I strongly advise that you do the pre-enrollment. I have discounted rates for pre-enrollment, but you're welcome to think about it. I'm going to put my website down in the description box below so that you can read all about the course. I also have been collecting testimonials from my current students. I feel like it's been a dramatic success. I'm really, really proud of it. It's like the most fulfilling thing I've ever done is teach astrology in this way, because my students now have such a grasp on themselves. They know their own congruence, and they know and understand the way that they experience the astrology so much more fully. And to me, that's the most practical application of astrology, is just to really come into congruence with self. So I have that. There'll be a link in the description box. And then, of course, if you are thinking of getting the 2022 year ahead, I strongly suggest you sign up for that right now. I strongly suggest you get into my calendar and get into my list, because I will probably cut them off at a certain point, because I can only record I'm learning that I have a capacity. I have a certain capacity for how many readings I'm able to do in a specific time period. And I want to get these all to you before 2022 so that you have them to navigate your whole year ahead. So definitely sign up for that if you're interested, and I'll leave all the information in the description box. Until I see you again, I hope you have a beautiful November, and I'll see you for the month ahead for our December. Bye-bye.